Welcome to Sketch Picks and Chill. I'm your host, Mr. Chill.
And I'm Pixie.
We are drawing the Funko Pop Marvel Advent Calendar, and today is day 5.
And today we're going to draw...
SpiderMan.
SpiderMan!
Does whatever a spider can.
I loved Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was so good.
I know, right? Which Spider-Man was your favorite?
I liked Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen was all kinds of awesome. I thought Spider-Ham was hilarious, though. He was actually voiced by my favorite comedian, John Mulaney. And I also gotta say, Nicolas Cage made an amazing Spider-Man noir.
Which Spider-Man are we going to draw today?
I'm drawing the original Spider-Man, Peter Parker. The original Spider-Man made his first appearance in Amazing Fantasy number 15, published in 1962. At that time, comic books were starting to gain a lot of popularity with teens, so Stan Lee wanted to create a superhero that teenagers could identify with. Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created a character named Peter Parker. Peter Parker is an average teenage boy who gains superpowers after being bitten by a radioactive spider.
Yeah, I already know his origin story.
I think everyone does at this point. Spider-Man has been rebooted so many times, it's like, we get it, Spider-Man. Your Uncle Ben was killed when you could have used your powers to save him, and now you've vowed to spend your life using your spider powers to save people, because with great power comes great responsibility. We've heard it so many times before, let's move on from there.
I like the guy who plays him in the movie.
Probably because he doesn't beat you over the head with his origin story. But yeah, Tom Holland makes a perfect Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire was good too, but that third movie he was in was awful. It came out on my birthday, so I went to see the midnight showing. Ruined my birthday.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Chill.
It's not your fault, and I suppose it's not Tobey's fault either.
Didn't somebody else play Spider-Man in the movies?
Andrew Garfield played Spider-Man in the reboot after Tobey Maguire, but I never saw it. It was too soon for a reboot, and Spider-Man 3 left such a bad taste in my mouth, I had to take a break from the character for a while.
I gotcha. So what's going on in your sketches?
So with my drawings, I like to use a pose that's unique to that character. Luckily, Spider-Man has lots of poses that are unique to his character, so it wasn't hard to pick a perfect pose for Peter Parker.
That was a tongue twister.
Yeah, buddy. So all of these sketches are poses that are unique to Spider-Man. For example, you wouldn't see Iron Man swinging on a web like we have Spider-Man doing here.
And Thor can't crawl on walls like Spider-Man can.
Exactly. So in this sketch, we have Spider-Man crawling on a wall. A wall-crawling pose is something that would be unique to Spider-Man.
That thing he does with his hand is very unique.
It sure is. I have him doing it with both hands here. In the first 4 drawings I did for the Advent Calendar, I had each character do a pose where one hand was in the foreground and one hand was in the background. I almost went with this pose for Spider-Man because I like how both hands are out in the foreground.
That's a great action pose. I like how his hands frame his face.
The way his hands frame his face reminds me of what photographers do with their hands when they're setting up a shot. Spider-Man's day job is working as a photographer, so that's another reason this would have made a great pose for our final drawing. It was actually my second choice after this pose right here.
Aww, this pose is so cute and funny.
That's exactly why I chose it for our final drawing. A big part of Spider-Man's character is his sense of humor. Spider-Man is famous for making his funny little quips as he fights the forces of evil. I wanted to pick a lighthearted pose that shows off his sense of humor. I have him hanging upside down and he's making his signature hand gesture at us. Spider-Man may use this hand gesture to shoot his web, but in some circles, this hand gesture means rock on. And I believe, in American Sign Language, this hand gesture means, I love you. What do you think Spider-Man is trying to tell us, Pixie? Is old Spidey trying to tell us to rock on? Is he professing his undying love? Or is he about to do some web slinging?
He's saying he loves us.
Obviously, and his love is requited.
What does that mean?
That means we love him too.
We love you too, Spider-Man.
We love you, Spider-Man. Anywho, back to the drawing. You may have noticed this is the first drawing where I don't use halftone. Spider-Man's costume is decorated with lines that resemble a spider's web. I was worried that halftone dots would visually clash with these lines, so I chose not to use halftone. For the background, I just went with shapes that look vaguely like a spider's web. Here's the finished drawing. It reminds me a lot of a stained glass window. Like a really cool stained glass window.
It looks amazing, Mr. Chill.
Thank you, Pixie. Are you excited for day 6 tomorrow?
Of course. Who are you going to draw?
Let's just say tomorrow's drawing is going to be a bit tricky.
I can't wait.
Me neither. But before we leave for the day, let's remind our viewers to...
Hey, like and subscribe.
Hit like and subscribe. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Adios, amigos.